Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Excuse me! Taxi!
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
And in the middle of all this, a big hearing today also on Minnesota. And this is a new one. It's a tourism fraud where people were they were revealing people who went to Minnesota to essentially commit fraud there because they knew it was so easy to commit. And it was millions and millions of dollars. So what's going on in Minnesota, and also what's going on with the battle, sadly, on the ground there against ICE with these people setting up these barricades? Well, who better than former governor of Minnesota, Tim Pawlenty? Governor, it's great to have you here. Let's first get to the fraud. What's your reaction? Seems like no one's taken responsibility yet for billions upon billions of dollars of fraud.
Yes, these fraudsters so easily duped Minnesota government, Rita. It would be comical if it wasn't so serious and infuriating. And the number is going to be into the billions and maybe double-digit billions. We'll see. There's many more prosecutions to come. But as we look back on what happened, you had people asleep at the switch within state government, and a couple allegations of people affirmatively looking the other way and not helping law enforcement investigate fraud. And it's been going on for years, and it's really, really unfortunate, and it's really angering me and a lot of Minnesotans who pay a lot of taxes, and you expect your taxes to be used wisely. And, of course, in this case, in many other cases, they aren't. And it's just so bad.
Fernando.
This comes really from a large migrant community, which is the Somalis. You know, how do they invade Minnesota and then steal so many billions of dollars and get away with it? You know, don't you need to be certified to do certain type of businesses when you're getting money from the government? I mean, when you're getting government money, you need to be certified by some state or federal agency in order to receive these kinds of funds. We're not talking about millions of dollars. We're talking about billions and billions of dollars. How do we fall for that?
Governor, and you know what's interesting too about the cash? Did you see these reports out? Many of them were putting cash in suitcases and literally also declaring it at the airport. Hey, I have X million of cash and I'm going to Somalia. Didn't that raise a red flag?
Unbelievable. And again, there were all these red flags that you just mentioned. That one. There's another one where, you know, these programs were new and they were estimated to be at a certain level of operation and funding. And then it just went up, skyrocketed over a very short period of time. And one of the most basic, most elementary indicators of a potential fraud is when numbers jump up unexpectedly or jump up beyond what you expected. And that most auditors, most people who have any sort of management experience would say that's an unbelievably important red flag. And they either missed it or looked the other way to the tune of billions of dollars, and it's disgusting.
There must have been kickbacks there. I mean, there must have been kickbacks to keep these people sleeping because they were sleeping at the wheel. Billions of dollars, unacceptable.
John, there's no evidence of that yet.
Tens of billions.
The U.S. Attorney's Office continues to investigate. Sadly, a bunch of them quit. So the main investigators of this fraud wasn't the state government. It was the U.S. Attorney's Office. And because of some political objections they had to the administration, you know, supposedly pressuring them on the ICE side of it, they had 9 or 10 or 12 prosecutors quit, and many of those were the lead prosecutors on these fraud cases. So it's going to be that's a bit of a step back, but hopefully we'll get the new team in there and they'll continue to push this forward to prosecute these criminals.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there's no allegations of kickbacks yet.
Yeah, we'll find out, right? Good point. It's worth looking into. Judge Weinberg.
Governor, good to talk to you, sir. I'll tell you what troubles me, lawyer to lawyer, about how these people are getting away with setting up barricades, trying to check the credentials of people who are driving through to make sure they're not federal officers. Why isn't this close to being an insurrection against our country We've already decided a long time ago during the Civil War that nullification of efforts are unconstitutional. We have a supremacy clause. What's going on in terms of the Minnesota experience that is allowing this kind of nullification and insurrection to go on?
Judge, legally, practically, commonsensically, I agree with you 110%. That should not be allowed and tolerated for 1 minute. And unfortunately, the city of Minneapolis is mostly run by idiots. And they say in their words the citizens shouldn't do this, but they're not really aggressively taking them down. And we live in a country where we are not going to have and shouldn't have no-go zones and people putting up, checkpoints like in some weird, developing country that's, corrupt. It's just ridiculous. And so I think you're right on every point that you just mentioned, and it should not be tolerated. If I was governor and the city was doing that, I would send in state forces to deal with it. I mean, that's just it's ridiculous.
Greg Eaton.
Isn't that interference with law enforcement if they're going to set up these individual?
Completely.
I mean, they should come in and break these down. They should stop these people from engaging in this illegal activity.
That's what we're talking about. This is very close to being an insurgency, an insurrection against federal authority. It shouldn't be tolerated any more than you allow it when Wallace or Forbes wouldn't allow desegregation, and Barbie Kennedy and Eisenhower sent in troops to enforce the federal law.
Yeah, why are they not stepping up?
You don't get to beyond just obstruction of federal forces. It's a hindrance to the public in public places. These are public roads that we should have public access and free flow of traffic or walking or pedestrians or whatever. And the idea that some rogue citizens get to get up there with, pieces of woods or crate and try to block traffic is illegal on its face.
Yeah, just arrest them for imprisonment.
Wait. To block federal offices?
Well, but it could be, but the governor's point is well taken. If it was just me driving by and it did that, why is that not unlawful imprisonment, which should be a felony?
Arrest them all.
Governor,
arrest them all.
Governor, your thought on the unlawful imprisonment?
Well, Minnesota passed a law recently, believe it or not, where protesters can't block roadways. It's a crime just for blocking a roadway. And what if three of us were in the SUV and it's cold in Minnesota and we had masks on and we wanted to drive down the street and we get harassed by these dumb blanks.
Right.
That's illegal. You cannot block a public roadway in Minnesota, and it's illegal for all the reasons the judge just cited.
The other thing too, it's dangerous too, because what I think of, they're doing these checkpoints, asking for ID. What if it turns out to be an ICE officer? They're showing up at their hotels and trying to, invade their rooms and destroying hotels. What are they going to do if they get them? I mean, this is so ominous and so threatening, Governor. It really is taking it to a whole new level.
Absolutely, Rita. I agree. And again, I think if you could only understand how far gone the mindset of the leaders of Minneapolis is. I mean, it's not only a sanctuary city, but the city council is dominated by Democratic socialists. They are way, way off the left fringe. And they make no sense. So these are not people who should be running anything.
Governor, these are people that I am sure are involved in this tens of billions of dollar theft. Okay? What worries me and what concerns me and what should concern all of us is that these Somalis can leave the country and there's no extradition treaty with Somalia. Right? So if they leave the country with all these hundreds of millions of dollars individually back to their country, okay, how are we going to get them back to prosecute them? Has anyone thought about the exodus of maybe Somalis from Minnesota to Somalia? Has anyone brought that up to you at all?
There has been some reporting about that, but of course this fraud was all discovered belatedly, John, And so it occurred in many cases years ago, and it's only now being prosecuted. If somebody is going to be, criminally charged or arrested, you can take their passport and otherwise deny them exit from the country. But for those fraudsters who wanted to leave, say 2 or 3 years ago, before these prosecutions got going, there was nothing stopping them. And these are refugees. The federal government approves, which refugees and at what number come into the country each year. And most of the Somalis are refugees, not, illegal immigrants. They came legally, and they've got passports.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
and the only way to stop them from leaving is you got to prosecute them and pull their passports.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Governor, we love having you on. You got to keep us posted because it is so crazy what's going on there in Minnesota. And we need some voices of reason like you.
We need some common sense. We need some sanity. I mean, I can't believe what's going on in our country.
I know.
We need to get these people back in the country if they've left, and they need to be prosecuted. We need to extradite them and bring them back.
Absolutely.
I don't care if it happened 5 years ago.
And we need to find out leadership, too. If leadership turned a blind eye, that's another.
A lot of them, John, are not in Somalia necessarily. They're in other countries nearby, or in some cases in Europe or Middle Eastern countries. So there may be some cases where we have extradition rights with those countries.
Living large. I'm sure that with all those millions that they stole, they're living large.
Yeah.
Zillionaires in Uganda, whatever.
I think they'd stand out. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you so much, Governor.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me on.
Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Payne Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.